Some time ago, Bruce Williams of the Facebook Dark Table group made a video about the Hugin panorama creation program, showing how to create multi-row panoramas, and his method involved manually creating control points for all the images, and it was quite an involved and lengthy process, and since then I've been experimenting with Hugin to see if I could speed this up. And this is an image I produced a couple of days ago of a waterfall quite close to where I live in Lancashire in England, and this is an image stitched from 10 images in 2 rows of 5. So first of all I created the bottom part, or I photographed the bottom part, and then I tilted the camera up and photographed the top part, and that resulted in 10 TIFF images, and I used those for input to the program Hugin. There seems to be some debate about how you pronounce the name Hugin, and I read somewhere that if you look at the logo that was created for the program, it shows a little man with his arms outstretched as though he's going to give somebody a big hug, and the name Hugin comes from the program hugs all of your images and gathers them in to a single image, and that's why I pronounce it Hugin. Various people pronounce it Hugin and Hugin and one thing or another, but that's what I understand it to be, and that's what I'm sticking with. So okay, let's have a look at the way I produced that finished image, and let's open up Hugin. And there it is. Now there are 2 ways I'm going to show of how you can produce the control points to link all the images together, and the first one is going to be fully automatic, and the second one is going to be semi-automatic. And what I suggest is, if you are having difficulties with the fully automatic one, you should try the semi-automatic one, which is a bit slower but seems to produce very accurate results. I should mention that I use a gimbal panoramic head, and it reduces parallax errors to virtually 0, both for tilting the camera and for sweeping the camera, so that means that there are less problems for Hugin to deal with. Okay, so this is the automatic process. First of all, we click on load images. Let me retrace for a second. Select in the interface first of all the simple one with this choice here, then click on load images, and these are the TIFF images that I shot. So there are 12 images in total, and the first 6 are the lower part of the picture, and the second 6 are the upper part of the picture. But we'll load them all and hold the shift key down, select them all and open. And the first thing Hugin does is ask you what the focal length of your lens is and the multiplier factor. I was using a 12mm Samyang wide angle lens, and it's a micro four thirds, so its multiplier is 2. So in actual effective focal length, it's like a 24mm lens. Click OK. And I should mention that, as Bruce Williams did, I shoot my panorama constructions in portrait format. And this is the first attempt that Hugin has done to try and put these together, but he doesn't know anything about the way I shot them, so it's made a mess of it. Now I go to interface advanced and select all the images, and in this settings box here the default is Hugin CP Find. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to go to CP Find multi-row act. And that actually means multi-row or stacked. And then I click create control points, and it looks at all the images and attempts to figure out the control points so that it can match the images. At this point I'll just mention that I use something close to a 50% overlap of my images, depending on what lens I've got. With this Samyang 12mm it is close, it's between 40 and 50% overlap. So this is in real time where it's finding the control points. This is not an extremely powerful machine that I'm working on at the moment, so it does take a fair amount of time. It's found 524 control points. Now we can switch the interface back to simple and click on align, and interestingly it says line find is searching for vertical lines. I understand that this is how it manages to match the top row of images with the bottom row of images. It's just part of the software algorithms. So this sorts out how all the images are put together, and already you can see that it's beginning to make quite a good job of putting the images together. And when it's finished doing that, you simply create panorama. It will then ask you the output parameters. I leave it on the default because I've already processed these images in a raw file editor, which is actually Darktable, and matched up the exposures of all the images, so it doesn't need any exposure correction. So I just leave it at the default, and then I click OK. It then tells you that the project needs to be saved, so I click OK, and I'm just going to rename that auto demo, and I'm going to copy that. If I can, there we go. Control C to copy it. Save that. It saves it in the same directory where you stored your initial images, and it saves the TIFF file as well, the TIFF file name I should say, and now it's assembling the image into a final panoramic TIFF file. and the first time I tested this method, it actually came up with 0 errors, which I've never seen Hugin do before. I'm just going to pause the video while it finishes this. It's almost finished now, and it's actually, I just lift it up, it says batch successfully completed, and it's not listed any errors there. So I can now close Hugin down and go back to my directory. There we are. And there is the finished TIFF file. So it's quite a big file, as you would expect, 328 megabytes. I just double click on that. And as you can see, it's made a very nice panorama. What I would normally do now is open that up in an editor and do some dodging and burning, because the variation in light in this location meant there's some quite deep shadows, but it's done a fair job with the exposure, and I've zoomed into it and I can't find any errors on it. Okay, and next I'm going to show you the semi-automatic method that I've found. So now I'm going to show you, if you find that the fully automatic method doesn't produce perfect results, I'll show you this semi-automatic method, which to be honest I've found is pretty bulletproof really. So let's open up Hugin again. Just close that for the time being. Again, you go into the simple interface to start off with. Load images. Select all your initial images and open. Put the focal length in and the multiplier and click OK. And again, it's doing a pretty poor job because it's guessing. Now I switch to the advanced interface and going to use the Hugin's CP Find default. First of all, I create control points for the first 6 images. So I select those like that, and then I click on create control points. Hugin goes away and does its thing. And it's found 89 control points. Click OK. Now I do the same for the upper portion of the picture. And you probably find roughly the same number of control points. I found quite a few more actually. Click OK. And now what I do is create control points for pairs of images. When I say a pair of images, I mean an upper and a lower one. So this file is below number 6. So sorry, I should have clicked that and then control clicked number 6. Create control points. And we repeat this, so we go to 1 and 7. And then 2 and 8. Three and 9. I should mention that I have a method of shooting left to right for the bottom part and then left to right for the top part, so it's easy to work out which ones are matched with which. So that goes with 10. And then finally 5 goes with 11. So I've created all my control points. I go back now on the interface to the simple one, click Align, and then finally we just click create panorama. There we go. Again, I use the default, click OK, and we have to save it. We'll call this semi-auto. Save, and then it asks for the TIFF name. Save again. Again, I'm going to pause this while it finishes off. So this is nearly finished now. And again, batch successfully completed with no errors. So we can now close that down and have a look at what we've got. And there's the created file, semi-auto. Click that. And again, can't really fault the image. Looks perfect. when you're creating this sort of image, things that will trip up probably most panoramic programs, if not all, are things like moving trees and moving water. In this particular case, it doesn't seem to have been affected by the ripples in the water, but maybe somebody can see errors in it. But anyway, got to thank Bruce Williams, because he put a lot of work into his video and put me on the right track for using this program, and he's been a great help to me with this, and his video does actually show the full technique of setting your camera up and doing the several rows. I must say I haven't tried this with a triple row image. That's the next thing on my list of things to do, but it does seem to produce some very nice results, and I hope that is helpful to somebody, and thank you for watching.